This is the live podcast with Manuel, living in full expression.
No matter what challenges you're going through, no matter what life throws at you, no matter how low a point you're at, always remember these words. Get up, dress up, show up.
You're welcome to the live podcast with me, your host, Manuel. And today on the show, I have someone very special to me as a person, and she's going to be sharing her story. This person is a counselor, and she is a trainer. She had worked in various spaces, and I'm going to just give you a brief about her background. However, she's going to give us full detail about who she is, what she's done in the community, and how she has been able to move through life and overcome challenges and is able to become who she is today. Her name is Councillor Patience Bentu, and she's in politics in the United Kingdom with a focus on diversity and inclusion, policy, training, political participation and representation. And she had worked in various roles in the public spaces, even in the private sector, and she was elected as a councillor for Cllr in Swansea in the local election of May 5th, 2022, making her the first Nigerian to become a councillor in Wales. She's a 2021 Ethnic Minority Welsh Woman Achievement Association Award recipient for self-development, and that is the Rudry Morgan Award. And I wanted to welcome Councillor Patience as she shares her story. It's good to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much, Manuel. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So I just read a mini background of who you are, and having known you for some time now, I know you've done so much for yourself. You've achieved so much for yourself, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg of what you've achieved for yourself. Can you, with your own words, share with us your background and who Councillor Patience is today?
Right. I will try to make it as brief and as straightforward as possible. So I will begin with the time when I arrived in Wales to where I am today. So I arrived in Wales in 2012 to do a PhD in politics and international development. And the story that's followed that has shaped who I am today and has shaped my trajectory in Wales as a woman, as an immigrant, as a Black woman as well, and has shaped my journey to where I am today. And when I say the things that happened during that time while I was doing my research, the PhD research, there's a lot of experiences in that. That was the point at which I experienced a lot of what we now know to be systemic racism, discrimination, rejection by the very institution that was supposed to support me. And to be honest with you, I was the last person in that journey to actually accept that there was some sort of unconscious bias or systemic discrimination in that experience. So fast forward, when I finished that research, I asked myself, because of the outcomes of that experience, I asked myself what I wanted to do. And there's this very popular question: when life deals you lemons, what do you do with it?
You make lemonade
and
with it.
I decided at that point I was going to make lemonade out of my lemons. Now, the basic thing, or the fundamental thing in that for me, was the fact that I didn't want any other immigrant coming to this country to go through what I went through, and especially not another Black woman, not another single mother, because that's what I was in that experience. It was a very difficult journey, one that I will spare you the details of. But yes, so from that point on, I decided that whatever I was going to do, which obviously was going to be within the realms of my research area and my study area, diversity and inclusion and, representation and all of that, was going to help shape the future for those coming behind me. And in everything that I have done ever since, that has been at the core, of my focus. And so after graduating, I started work in the third sector. So I worked with a charity organization that promoted race relations and supported ethnic minority communities in Wales. And then COVID happened, and I was right in the center of representing this organization through so many different working groups in collaboration with the Welsh Government and other Welsh Government institutions like the NA and the Public Health Wales, helping them to understand the disproportionate effects of COVID-19 on ethnic minority communities at the time. And I don't know, do you want me to carry on? Do you want
Please
me to
go
stop
ahead.
there?
Please go ahead and share with us your story. Yeah, please go ahead.
Right. And all of the work that we did at the time was what led to the Welsh Government's development of the Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan. Because if you recall, during the lockdown and when COVID happened, almost about the same time was when, remind me his name now, George Floyd?
Yeah, the black
Killed
guys
in America.
Yeah, in America.
And that sparked off the global Black Lives Matter campaigns.
Yeah.
And there were, several protests in Wales as well, which I was a part of. And so it was all of those things put together that made the Welsh Government realize that they needed to take action. And the collaborative and partnerships that came out of that, was what led to the publishing of the Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan. Shortly after that, I left that organisation and I joined the Office of the Future Generations Commissioner for Wales as the EDI and anti-racism partner. And as you would know, Wales is the first country in the world to have passed the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act in 2015 with 8 sustainable goals, of which one of them is the Equal Wales, a More Equal Wales sustainable goal. And I kind of, my work centered around that sustainable goal, helping public services to think of their services and how inclusive they are with their policies. So I worked there I had a brief stint there, and then I left there, and then last year I joined the Welsh Refugee Council as Education and Employment Manager. That job has just, that contract has just come to an end. But in the midst of all of that, when I came to live in Wales, one of the first things I did was join a political party. So I joined the Labour Party. And for the first 2 years, I didn't do anything with that membership until finally one day I decided I needed to, be active within the Labour Party. And I started attending meetings, not quite understanding Welsh politics at the time. But because of my background and because of my interest in politics back in Nigeria, I found it, and I've always been a supporter of the Labour Party anyway, because it represents, my own personal philosophies in life. So for a while, I attended meetings just listening and learning. And then opportunities came up. I was asked if I wanted to be the ethnic minority officer in the first instance. And I thought, should I or shouldn't I? Anyway, I put myself forward for it. And I served as ethnic minority officer for 2 terms. And then I was asked if I wanted to run to be chair of my ward. And I put myself forward for that. And I had 2 terms there. And then I was asked if I wanted to run for chair of the constituency. So it was a gradual build-up, climbing up the ladder within the political party. And I did accept that. And I was elected as chair of the constituency. And I believe that makes me the first Black woman to be elected chair of Swansea West constituency in the Labour Party. So that was how my development and my growth within politics started. And then after that, the opportunity came, in the local elections of 2022, and I put myself forward to run for the councillor role. A very difficult journey that was, I'm sure I will get an opportunity, before time runs out on us to share that experience. But I got elected in May of 2022 to represent Castle Ward in Swansea. So that's where I am at the moment.
Amazing. So you now see why I said you've done so much for yourself, and I couldn't say it better than you just did. But looking at where you were coming from, first, an immigrant, you are an immigrant. Second, you are coming from Nigeria. Would you want to share with us what were the seemingly difficult situations you faced? What are the obstacles you faced for trying to become all you have done for yourself?
I think largely the obstacles are around my identity. Our identity as immigrants in this country, the color of our skin seems to always go against us in one form or the other, whether on the individual experiences or our interactions, daily interactions with people we meet on the streets and in certain spaces, or within the systems, including the workplace. So I find, that is the major obstacle. Manuel, whether we like it or not, as difficult as it is to accept, racism is still alive and well and thriving. And it is something that we face almost on a daily basis. And it is something that we always have to fight within the systems. We always have to fight for a space on the table. We always have to fight for what should rightfully come to us. It's just a constant, a vicious cycle of struggling for everything that you have. And this is what I have faced from the time I came to study to the different roles and jobs that I have had. And but more prevalently, within the community. It's out there, I've been lucky enough to have worked in spaces where people have been very accepting and very accommodating and very willing to work, together collaboratively to fight discrimination. Not just race discrimination, but discrimination across all 9 protected characteristics within the Equality Act 2010. But there are times as well when you're not facing that discrimination outrightly, but in the back of your head, because you are different, you want to do things differently, and you have to put in more effort to be able to get those things that you really want, to achieve those things that you really want. And I found that during the time when I was running the campaign for my councillor role, because out of this 4 of us councillors for that ward, and I was the newbie. I was the one out of the 4 who was running for the first time. And I was going to be the first black person to run for that, role within that ward. And so in the back of my head, it's playing I know I'm different. And I know that I'm seeking to represent the most multicultural ward in Swansea. However, I needed to get to know the residents, but most importantly, I needed the residents to get to know me. So although it seemed, very likely that I had a very good chance of winning the election, there was still, in the back of my mind, I knew that there was a lot of work to do, because I didn't just want to ride on the party tickets, but I wanted to really connect with the residents that I was going to be representing. So believe it or not, I did 4 times more than I think my other colleagues did in terms of knocking on doors, in terms of leafletting. Not because I was made to do it, but because of, that thought playing at the back of my head. So it's that constant reminder that because we are different, we always have to do a bit more than someone who's more local, someone who's from here, to get that which we really want. So it can be quite challenging. And as I always say to people, that other than raising my son as a single mother in this country with no recourse to public funds, running my campaign to become councillor was the next most difficult thing I ever did in my life.
Interesting. Can you recall during your campaign where you were faced head-on with any form of racism, or you were faced head-on with any form of rejection because of your color? And if so, how were you able to deal with those things, those resistance that you got during those times?
To be very honest, I think I've been very lucky. Lucky in the sense that there was nothing during that period. There was No, or rather, let me say, I didn't experience outright rejection on the doorsteps, and definitely not from my colleagues within the Labour Party,
Yeah.
because I had 100%, support
Hmm.
from the political party. On the doorsteps, no. I was lucky enough not to have that outright. Whatever I received on the doorstep would be measured to be the same as what any other of my colleagues from within the party would have received. Because obviously you're a political party, we can't appeal to everybody.
Yeah.
There are those who are who support opposing political parties who will reject you on the doorstep. So I didn't see it as having to do with my skin color. I just saw it as, as being political. It was because they were not supporters of our political party.
Mm-hmm.
So if people screamed at their doorsteps, no, thank you, we don't want to see you, it was because you were from a particular political party, not, because of the color of my skin. Would there have been some unconscious bias? Yes. I've picked, people's body language, because sometimes it might not be outright, it might not be covert, it might be overt. Maybe body language, yes. A little bit of unconscious bias, when you're talking to people, yes. A little bit of, you could actually see people asking you questions because they're trying to test your political knowledge of the area, which obviously is not 100%, but because you've put yourself forward, to serve. There's that thing of how much do you know about us, But for those of us who are, representing, it's about bringing that diversity into the mix. If you look at the demographics of Wales today, you can see that it's increasingly becoming multicultural. And so that representation has to be there on policy tables. That representation has to be there to be able to accommodate all the voices of the people living within Wales. And that's how diversity and inclusion happens.
So tell me, you talk so much about the residents, the people who you met. What about the people of color? What kind of support or resistance did you also experience from them? Was there also a collaboration? Was there a way of support from them to say, this is our own, let's support her? Did you experience such as well?
No, not so much, to be honest. There was a lot because, as I mentioned to you, I think my ward in Swansea is the most multicultural
Yeah.
ward.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate, to get the support of a lot of different communities, I get invited to the events, cultural events of so many communities. There is that sense of identity, And to be honest with you, I do get a lot of requests to hold surgeries with those communities because they identify, because perhaps it's the cultural similarities as well. And people tend to think she will understand, and I usually do. And I try to represent, those voices as best as I can in solving their problems, in communicating those meetings and committees that I sit in with council officers, helping them to really understand the cultural needs and requirements of the different communities that we have. I wouldn't say I've had any pushbacks, or rejection from the diverse communities that we have. I think it's more of, there's been a lot of support out of cultural identification.
You've served in this public space for some time now. Can you remember one of the days you felt so proud of being the person of color and being in that role? Is there a particular thing you have done that you look back, you're so proud about it, and you feel, I am glad I stood up for this situation?
There are several instances, and
just share them.
You put me on the spot now with this question.
Yeah, just share the one you're so proud about.
In terms of personal achievements, I would say the day that I was most proud of was the day that the election results were announced. It's that moment when the numbers were read out, the votes were counted, and I realized that I had actually become a councillor. It was an out-of-body experience for me. I think for a couple of minutes I was struggling to really get a grasp of what was going on around me. I was like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And my friend who was with me on the day said, you've just been elected a councillor. I'm like, oh my God, am I ready for this?
Wow.
And that was one of the proudest moments of my life, just being called onto the stage alongside my councillor colleagues and standing there and looking at the people in front of me, and thinking, right, okay, get yourself together now, because yes, this is a proud moment, but you've got to come to terms with the reality that now the real work begins. Now the hard work begins, and you've got to brace up and you've got to be prepared, because now you're coming more under public scrutiny. People are watching you, everything you do, everything you say, wherever you go, how well you represent, how much you listen, the actions that you take. It's a lot of scrutiny, but yes, that was the one proud moment for me. I do have several proud moments when it's residents, either phoning you or emailing you with problems, within the local areas, and you show up to meet with them and listen to them and do the best that you can, to resolve the issues that they've raised with you. But we can't solve all the problems of the world, right?
Yeah, sure, we can't.
And my proud moments have always been in those times when I didn't quite resolve the problem, but you get residents saying to you, thank you.
Wow.
That you came.
Wow.
That you listened and that you tried. Those moments make me so proud, to be where I am. It makes me so proud, to have put myself forward, to represent these people. I'll leave it there. I think those are the ones that I can, actually remember.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. While you're saying this, I was just imagining in my mind, okay, I've prepared for this. Those times in our life when you've prepared for something and now is before you, and you're like, oh, is it really me? Did I really do this? But then I'm glad you took it and you've run with it. Looking at so far, you've done this. There are times you felt overwhelmed. Maybe because of challenges, you felt overwhelmed and you felt like, am I really going to continue doing this? Was there a time you felt discouraged? Was there a time you felt stuck? Not stuck because you don't know what to do, but stuck because you felt you got to a point in your journey and you felt discouraged. Was there times like that? And what did you do in such cases?
Quite straightforward, to be honest with you. There are good days and there are bad days.
Yeah.
There are days when I'm proud of myself and happy that I put myself forward. And there are days when you think, oh, what have I done here?
Yeah.
How much more can I do? I can't go on, But overall, I have no regrets. I'm really happy because, like every other thing in life, there will be good days and bad days. Even if I wasn't working, even if I was staying at home, 24/7, there will be good days and bad days.
Mm-hmm.
It's bracing up to the challenges on the bad days. Doing your very best and going back home at the end of the day knowing that although things didn't turn out the way that you wanted them to turn out, although you didn't achieve the results that you wanted your actions to achieve, you go home feeling satisfied that you did your best. So it's what you do with those, quote unquote, bad days, those very challenging days as well. And you take the lessons. That's what I usually do. I sit back because I reflect a lot. I reflect on conversations that I've had with people. I reflect on actions that I've taken. I reflect on things. And I tend to take out the lessons. If you read my social media, if you follow my social media, I have quotes that I put up there. And these are, lessons that I have learned from different experiences. So you pick up the lessons and you roll. You get up and go again. Right? I think my strength has always been in, yes, you will fall, but never remain on the ground. When you stumble and when you fall, you get up, you dust yourself up, take the lessons, put them into your a pocket, and you go again. And that has always been what has inspired me. And these are the words that I've always used to inspire those I've mentored and anybody else, who is willing to listen, anybody else who's going through different challenges in life. It's about making those mistakes on a bad day, quote unquote, bad day, challenging day, getting up, going again, and keep going, keep going, keep going. Finding inspiration from wherever you can or whatever you can. So yes, there have been days when I felt, like I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing it. Have I suffered from imposter syndrome as well? Oh yes, all the time. You keep thinking, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm not worthy of this. I'm not this. I'm not fit for this. I'm not fit for that. But then in the quiet of your mind, you go back and you think, why not you? If not you, who? If not now, when? And that inspires me to go again.
Somebody listening to you right now could be asking a question to say, yeah, we all go on the space and we see people talk about motivational talks, but what practical example have this person applied this thing to? Are there practical examples where you can give us, maybe short, just for us to relate those stories with you, with your person, not just as counselor or patient, but as somebody. This is her personal experience with challenges, and this is what she did because she knew this and she applied these principles and it worked for her. Could there be anything like that for you?
I think what I would say is, our greatest strength should come from the way we see ourselves and the way we build ourselves and the things that we say to ourselves and the things that we do to ourselves. That is your greatest strength. Right? But and that's what I've done. But apart from that, I have also, I'm a very observant person. So I watch other people's lives and I pick lessons from other people's experiences. I don't wait until it happens to me for me to learn a lesson. So I learn lessons from the things that I hear, other people's experiences, and from the things that I see, what I observe. And I use those. I kind of infuse those into my own life to make sure that I don't make certain mistakes. But as individuals, we're human beings. We will always make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And you would know that there is this general feeling, amongst people that because you're in a leadership position, it is assumed that you are perfect. By God, leaders are human beings. Do leaders make wrong decisions? Yes, sometimes they do, like every other person, right?
Yeah.
Do they take the wrong actions? Yes, sometimes they do, right? But a good leader is one who owns up when they've taken those wrong decisions. A good leader is one who owns up when they've taken the wrong actions. But the biggest lesson in all of that is to retract. Right?
Yeah.
Retrace your steps and try to put things right. Can you please everybody? No. You can never please everybody. But when you put in your best and your conscience tells you that this is my absolute best, then you've got to keep a straight head, a straight face, straight whatever, and keep going. But above all of that is being a good listener. Being a good listener, because if you're a leader and you don't listen to the people that you lead, right, then you're going to miss it completely. You will not be able to deliver on those promises that you have made to those people that you are leading or those people that you are representing. So do I have instances where, yes, I do have those instances where I felt, have I let people down? I'm sure, a lot of times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But has that brought me down as a human being? No. Does that make me feel any less the leader that I am? No. Why? Because, again, I keep repeating myself. You pick up the lessons, you learn from them, and you go again. I don't know if that's answered the question, but hopefully that would have motivated somebody out there.
Yeah, I hope so. It does. It has motivated me myself, really. Yeah. So let's talk about your awards. One of the awards I read out was the EMWWAA award.
M1, yeah.
So
the M1 award.
I'm sure that award meant so much to you. Can you shed a little more light on why you got that award and why that award for you?
The most touching part of that award for me is the category, which is the self-development. I got that award at a very, very, very difficult time in my life when I was going through a lot of challenges as a single mother, as an immigrant with very little or no money. It was a really, really difficult time in my life. It was a time when the only thing I could have done is pack my bags and go back to Nigeria, of which, of course, I would have been going back to nothing because I had nothing left in Nigeria. So I was going through a lot, and I tried to keep myself motivated at the time. I started writing a manuscript, which I titled Get Up, Dress Up, Show Up. And I wasn't just writing that manuscript to motivate other people, I was writing it to motivate myself. I was documenting my experiences at the time and the lessons I was learning from those experiences, right? But the one thing I was doing was I kept showing up in different spaces, in whatever capacity. I kept showing up at events because I was looking for inspiration. I was looking for motivation. I was looking for a way out of any of my challenges. Now, ordinarily, when you're faced with those challenges, the type of challenges that I was facing at the time, you would just want to lock up yourself in your bedroom and cry 24/7. You won't want to see people. You will want to shut down from the world. But no. And during that period, honestly, Manuel, I tell people that if my pillows could speak, they would tell you the amount of tears that I cried every night into them. But when I get up and then I get an email or I get a phone call saying, there's this community event here, or there's this networking event here, I'm off. I'll dress up. And when I say dress up, I don't mean, wear anything fanciful. It's just get dressed and show up at that event, because I was looking for any and every opportunity that I could get to develop myself. So as I'm going out my front door, I slide on my famous red lipstick and put a smile on my face, and I come out looking like $1 million. Not a single one of my worries on my head. I leave them in the pillow where I have cried, soaking in the tears. I leave them behind and I show up at these events. Is it a course, a short course? Is it a training session? Is it a networking meeting where I can talk to people, where I can sell myself? And that was how I developed. Nobody pushed me. I pushed myself through the crisis I was in, and somebody recognized it. And they thought, wow, after hearing me share my stories across different platforms, stories of the challenges that I've been through in this country, and coming out on the other side, a stronger person, a better person, a more motivated person, willing to not just get myself out of it, but help others to navigate their own journeys. I believe that was what got me that award.
You feel so proud about this award?
I do. I feel very proud of it because, to be honest, I can count for you on the fingers of one hand how many awards I've received in my life. Now, I'm not one for accolades. Because I don't do what I do because I want to be recognized. I don't do what I do because I want people to sing my praise. Yes, it does feel good when it happens, but that is not the intention. Whatever I do from a genuine heart, But to be so recognized, is like the icing on top of the cake, to be honest. So I am proud of that and the other awards that I have received after that.
So I must say this stood out for you. Or you want to share any of the award that also made a lot of sense to you as well, or would you want to stop with this?
Yes, no, as I said, there are not that many anyway, so I got one from my alma mater, my secondary school alma mater, the Gindri Old Students Association. I think that was about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, for being a worthy ambassador. And I got another one from the Plateau State Association of the United Kingdom last year as well for my achievements and how far I've come in my journey. So yeah, these are awards that mean a lot to my heart, just to be recognized and for people to say thank you. We see what you're doing and we appreciate it. It's really heartwarming.
Wow, that's really heartwarming. Thank you for sharing that. Now, let's talk about the other second challenge you faced. You talked about your election. Let's talk about raising a child in this country as a single parent. That must be a difficult one. You mentioned that to be after that, that's your election. So you want to tell us about this challenge. Why I'm particular about this is because many people, when they come around this area, even when two parents raise a child, it's difficult for them. I have a child and I know how difficult and challenging it can be raising a child in this environment where you don't have easy aunties, easy nieces coming around, anybody coming around to help you keep the child. How were you able to navigate this and still keep your heads up and still achieve all you're achieving? You want to tell us about that?
If I was to speak from my Christian faith perspective, I would say it could only be God. Now when I look back at those, look over the years that I've been here doing that, raising my son on my own, I say I don't know how I did it. And that's why I say it was only God. It could only be God. But the biggest help in that for me, aside from, my faith in God, was people. Never underestimate the power of connections. Never underestimate the power of friendship. I couldn't have done it without certain people, without friends standing by me. And when I say friends, these are not just friends, a few, one or two that I knew from the past, but friendships that I formed here, and friendships that my son helped me form from school, through his own friendships in school and their parents wanting to get to know me. And as those friendships developed and they saw the weight of what I was carrying, they just showed up for me. Again, I'm using those words of mine, get up, dress up. Just show up for people, show up for yourself, show up for other people. And people showed up for me. Whether it was picking my son up from school, dropping him to school, inviting him over, child minding while, to give me some space to go and do research or, go for a presentation or go to work. People just showed up for me. There's one particular family who I always say, the story of our lives will not be complete without this family in Swansea. They even took my son on holiday just to give me some space. And they always had him just to give me that space that I needed to do one thing or the other. So without these people, I would have been nowhere. I don't know how I would have coped. So God raised people. And that's another, very powerful thing that I would like to leave with, people listening to us, listening to this podcast. Never underestimate what anybody can do for you. Never underestimate anybody, because you don't know where your help will come from. But remember as well that it's reciprocal. So you give, or people give, you take, but you have to give as well. And you might not have the capacity to give as much as you're receiving when you're going through challenges, but the gratitude of your heart says a lot to those people who are helping you. So essentially, I think, as I said, it's the lesson for me there is don't underestimate anyone and be appreciative of the people around you, because you never know who's going to show up for you. And that's how I navigated that. A lot of the things that my son learned here, when we came here, he was so afraid of going in a swimming pool. He couldn't swim. He was very young, but he was so afraid of being in water because he had a near drowning experience from a very young age. But it was the father of a friend of his who helped him to regain that confidence and taught him how to swim again. There's lots of things that he has learned. He picked up football. My son is a footballer and he also plays rugby. He picked up football from friends, from the people around him. It's so many things, honestly, that he knows today, that he does today, that he picked up, that he learned through other people, not from me as his parent. And for that, I am ever so grateful.
I know there are lots to talk about, but thank you for sharing that deep lesson for us. Now, let's look at Councillor Patience. You talked about development. I know what you know today, what you've gone through today, were not accidental. They were personal, conscious development you've done on yourself. Can you give us an idea of what's Patience's routine? What's your success routine? What's your routine when it comes to your personal development and your routine generally as a leader, and you're able to do all you need to do as a person?
The key thing for me is the appetite for learning. That is key to personal development. How much of an appetite have you got for learning? How far do you want to go? When do you think you could say to yourself, enough is enough? Never. Never, as far as I'm concerned. We never stop learning until the day we die. And every day is a learning process in life. Every interaction is a learning process for me. Every action, everything, the people around me are a learning process, right? And you just feel for every milestone that you achieve, it depends on how far you want to go. Some people will tell you, all I've wanted to achieve is become a councillor and I want to stop there. But I tell you something, not with patience. Because when I get there, I get bored very easily. When I achieve a milestone, I settle into it, I'm learning the ropes of it, I'm getting better by the day, improving by the day, right? I'm learning more and more. And then one day I wake up and I think, okay, I think I'm comfortable here. What next? Bring on the next challenge. Where do I go from here? Now there's certain people that feel, okay, I'm happy here. This is my last bus stop. I'm not going any further. And they're content, fully developed, don't get me wrong. They're thriving in that space. But as I said, I haven't gotten to that point yet. I still feel as though there's a lot in me that I can give. And so that's why I think I'm still at that point where for every milestone I get to, after a while, okay, yes, learning done here, what next? On to the next challenge. I could try this. And what's the outcome of your trying? It's only two things. Either you get it or you don't get it. There's only two outcomes in trying. And once you realize that and you accept it, you won't be afraid to move on. Because you know when I'm going to the next level, I'm either going to achieve it or I'm not going to achieve it. If I achieve it, all well and good. Celebrate. Give what you have in store to that level. If you don't achieve it, thank you very much. I shall see you at the next challenge.
That's right.
What's next?
That's right.
And honestly, if you understand that basic principle of life, nothing will shake you. Nothing will move you. And you know, as human beings, we're very, and it's normal. It's just human, right? We love achievement, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? But some people think that achievement is everything. There are certain achievements that will not give you the satisfaction you're looking for in life. There's only one person that can give you satisfaction, and that is yourself. And you only give yourself satisfaction when you realize that achievements are only an opportunity for you to give. Achievements are only an opportunity for you to impact on other people's lives. But also, let's think about that word achievement. What is achievement to me might not be achievement to you, Manuel.
That's true.
Right?
That's
For
true.
me, an achievement is where I have made impact. If I have not changed somebody's life or made an impact on somebody, then I haven't achieved yet. If you like, you give me all the awards in the world, give me all the titles in the world. If when you count my achievements, you have not counted the impact that I have made on other people's lives, then it's nothing. Now, once you accept that principle, you're at a place of complete satisfaction, complete peace with yourself, knowing that all you were set out to do in this life is to impact other people's lives through your achievements.
That's deep. That's deep. That's deep. Can you tell me who are the people who have inspired your life so much for you to have these mindsets? Who are the people? What books did you read? What people did you associate yourself with? What people did you look up to say, I love the way this person have lived his life and I want to pick one or two values from them? What have inspired your life so much, Ma?
My father. That is my biggest inspiration. My father. It was the things he said to me growing up. It was the way he lived his life and the impact that he made on other people's lives, which I am still benefiting from myself. That has been my biggest inspiration. When my father passed away, he didn't leave behind any worldly wealth. So I can't categorically tell you we inherited so much money or we inherited this and that and that and that, a house and this and that. Nope. No. But we inherited a legacy that still lives today through other people, through what he did for other people, how he impacted other people's lives. And until today, even in this country, I've gone into spaces where people have said to me, When they hear my name, they say, "Are you related to the late Professor Bentu?" Yes, that's my father. And something will always come out of it. What do you want? Oh, your father was this, your father was that. This is the impact that he had on my life. And out of that has come a lot of positivity for me. Whether it's, what do you want? What can I do for you? Because of what my father did. And this is the way I run my life now. I think, what are you doing for other people? And how are you showing up for other people? Because when I'm not here tomorrow, I want that legacy to pass on to my son. I want people to be able to say to my son, "This is who your mother was. And because of that, we are here for you. We will show up for you." That's the impact I'm talking about now. So my father was my biggest inspiration. Amongst others, there are people, like I said, people whose works I've read, like Maya Angelou. She's another very big inspiration. Why? Because Maya Angelou was a poet, amongst other things. But Maya's writings and her poetry speak to every situation in my life. For everything, any and everything that I'm going through, all I need to go through Maya's works, and I will find something she's written somewhere in her own lifetime, or a poem that she has written that speaks to my situation and what I need to be doing. There's also people like Michelle Obama. Every time I listen to Michelle Obama speak, I see myself in her words, and I think, she's talking to me and she doesn't even know she's talking to me. And then locally, around me, in my immediate environment, there are a few colleagues that I get inspired by. There are a few people around me, when they speak, my ears are wide open because I gain a lot from their own life's experiences. And that's, takes me back to what I was telling you earlier on about learning from other people's experiences, learning from the things that other people say and the actions that they take. So I have a few sources of inspiration.
And you are an inspiration to other people, a lot of people. So. Even as I'm listening to you right now, I've been inspired. So. Yeah, you have. Just to ask again, the opportunities you had when you came into this country, can you say such opportunities still exist for other immigrants who are in this country or who might be coming to this country? Do you think that it's easier now, or would you say it's more difficult now? What would you say about that?
All I would say is opportunities abound everywhere you go. If you don't meet opportunities, you create the opportunities for yourself. You create those opportunities by networking, right? By connecting with people. You create opportunities for yourself. But otherwise, opportunities are out there. They are out there just beckoning onto you. The big question is, what do you do with those opportunities? Are you able and ready to seize those opportunities? Or are you just going to think the challenges of my life are too great, or I need to focus on resolving my challenges before I reach out to those opportunities? No, don't. Challenges will always be there. The struggles of life will always be there. Have the problems of my life been solved? No. If I tell you what I'm going through as I sit here today and speak to you, I told you before we started this podcast about my anxiety this morning. My anxiety levels do go up. My blood pressure goes up. Everything goes berserk. Does that stop me from reaching out to the opportunities of the day? No. So you've got to find what keeps you going. You've got to find an inspiration to keep going to keep, reaching out for opportunities in spite of any challenge that you are going through. You've got to be able to say to yourself every morning, get up, dress up, just show up. Just show up. You never know what window will open for you or where. So there are opportunities abound.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. And just in a way of closing down on this, we've had a very wonderful time. Usually I call it a game that I do for people on the podcast. Knowing what you know right now with all your experiences in life, your inspirations, what you've done, what would you have done differently growing up, or what advice would you give to your younger self?
That's a very interesting question. Knowing what I know now, I think there are quite a few things that I would have done differently when I was younger. I should have focused more. I should have been more serious about life, about the things of life. But, growing up, I grew up in Nigeria, and you know what it's like when you grow up in your own turf, within your own culture. the privileges that you have, you take so much for granted. And I think as a young girl growing up, I took so much for granted. And knowing what I know now, looking back, I thought I should have been more serious with my life from a younger age. What else? What other advice would I give my younger self? Be more serious, be more focused. Not just my younger self, but other young people coming up these days, the future generation. The young people today, just be more focused. Take everything serious in life. Yes, you want to have a good time. Yes, you want to, but education, training, opportunities, whatever you can get as a young person, seize those opportunities as early enough as you can. Don't leave it until it's too late.
Amazing. So when we were talking earlier, you mentioned something about you don't settle when you achieve a thing. In the next 1, 2, 3 years, 5 years from now, with good health, good life, what would we see Patience doing? Where would we see Patience playing right now? Playing, not just playing, but playing big. Where do we see in the next 3 to 5 years?
I will keep my arsenals very close to my chest. But I'll tell you one thing with me, right? From everything that I've been through to where I am today, 5 years ago, if you had asked me this question, I would have told you something entirely different. 5 years ago, if you had asked me this question, I would have told you I see myself back in Nigeria. I see myself as a top politician in Nigeria, working very hard to develop Nigeria. Or I see myself as a senior lecturer. I probably would have been a professor by now if you had asked me this 5 years ago. But here we are 5 years on, right? I'm a councillor in Wales, in Swansea. How did that happen? That wasn't my dream 5 years ago. That wasn't my ambition 5 years ago. So having asked me this question now, where do you see Patience in 5 years' time? Only God knows. Only God knows. If I'm well, if the Lord leaves me alive and healthy, I just see myself at a higher level from where I am now. What that higher level will be, I don't know.
Amazing.
But don't forget as well that time is ticking and I'm counting down to retirement. So it's going to get to the point where it might not get higher anymore. But 5 years' time, I don't know. I'll leave that. I'd keep my arsenals to my chest.
Wow. Are there things you're doing right now to give back on a personal level? Maybe like you mentioned mentoring. Are you doing anything in an organized way as a way of helping other people in your own space? Not because you're now in a public space, but something that is there to you. Now you talked about retirement, and when you retire, could that be something you want to infuse into your retired time? So are you doing something in that nature that people can look forward to?
Yes, I'm very passionate about young women, and I'm very passionate about young people. Passionate about young women because of my own journey. And as I said to you earlier on, there are a lot of things that I have learned that I would like to impart to younger women, to guide them, to direct them on their own journey. I see myself in a position where I can open some doors. I can't open all the doors of life, but there are doors. I am in that position, of influence and where I can open some doors. And when I say open doors, they don't have to be doors of success, but doors of success in life and navigating, difficult journeys. I am in that position to give back, through wisdom and knowledge and learning to younger women as they navigate their own journeys in life. I'm also in that very same position to guide and direct young people because I'm very passionate about the future. I see the way the world is going now in different sectors, different things happening, whether it's climate change, whether it's transportation, the kind of policies that are being shaped now need to be fit for future generations. And for us to build those policies to make them fit for future generations, we also have to prepare those young people who are the future generation to be able to pass on the baton to them to carry on with life in a more successful way. So these two groups of people I'm very passionate about, and I do have capacity, to help shape, mentor, coach in whatever capacity. And it's something that I'm building, yes, towards retirement, but I'm already doing it there with young people and, young women in different fora.
So where can people meet Patience? Where can people reach out to you? How can people get in touch with you? How does it work for you?
I'm everywhere online. All my information is on Swansea Council website. How to contact me if it's council related. I'm also on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, not so much these days out of personal conviction, but Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
All right. Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm as open as I come.
Beautiful. So for somebody who will listen to this particular episode and reach out to see and say, after listening to you, is there a special offer, something you're going to do for the person specially?
I will give them a listening ear.
Beautiful.
I will talk to them and listen to what exactly it is that they would like, me to help them with.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes, I'm approachable like that, honestly.
Yeah.
I might not have as much capacity as they would expect, but I am approachable.
Thank you so much. So your last word on this podcast to someone listening to you, what would it be? To summarize all that we've shared today, all that we've talked about, what would your last word on this podcast be to someone who has just listened to your journey, your story, your experiences, your impact? What would it be?
No matter what challenges you're going through, no matter what life throws at you, no matter how low a point you're at, always remember these words. Get up, dress up, show up.
Thank you so much. That's the best way to end this podcast. And I am so happy that you showed up for us today. You dressed up, you showed up, and you have shown us what it was for you, navigating life. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. And I look forward to having another time with you to share more of your experience with our audience. Thank you so much, and to have a great day.
And thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.